I love Marvin the Martian. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Justin, and today we're listening to Gustav Holst with his song Mars. I don't know enough about classical music to tell you much more than that. The version I'm listening to is being played by the Royal Liverpool Philharmonic Orchestra and conducted by Sir Charles Mackerras. I really don't know anything about classical music. I like listening to it, but I don't know the ins and outs of it. The 7th Movement Orchestral Suite was written between 1914 and 1916. This version, I don't know when it came out. There may be a chance that I've heard this song, in which case, if I have, I'll put song review instead of first listen on here. I know a long time ago, and I'm talking at least 15 years in the past, I had bought an album of Holst the Planets to listen to because I wanted to get into classical music, but it just didn't hit me at that time. I'll admit I was open-minded when I was younger, but I was also a little more closed-minded, so I don't think I got very far in the album. Actually, I know I didn't get very far in the album. Now that I'm a little older, now that I have a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit more maturity, now's the time to listen to it again. And I had asked you guys for classical recommendations, and this was one that had come up a lot of times. You can join me on Twitter, join me in the comments down below. Hope you're having a fantastic day, and let's do it. This is Gustav Holst with Mars. Your ears would be ringing after that ending, after the whole song. Okay, so first off, the first half of the song sounds familiar, but I don't really recognize it, like, recognize the song, so I'm still going to make this a first listen. I don't think I've heard the whole thing at all, even though some parts of it do sound familiar, and I don't think that that's because it sounds somewhat like Star Wars and that kind of thing. I think I've probably heard parts of this in the past at some point. Listen, so of course, this track is, this one is just like intense, right? This is just, this rattles your bones, this boils your blood. But the intensity that's brought from the instruments, of course, I mean, you got to expect that. And also, I totally forgot to mention that this is called Mars, the Bringer of War. Each of the pieces is based off of not only a planet, but what that planet represents in the Roman god hierarchy or whatever. So, Mars, Bringer of War. So, naturally, we're going to think war when we're listening to this. So, one of the coolest things about this piece is the intensity of it, right? Obvious. Duh. I'm not saying anything different. But I don't just mean the intensity in those loud bombast moments. I mean the intensity that's left over after those loud moments, when there's a little bit of emptiness after that. Because there's climaxes in here, and then all of a sudden that bowl just totally empties out, and we're left with nothing. To me, that is the perfect symbolization of war. After the battle has taken place, the desolation, the desecration, the destruction that's left over. That's what those pieces feel like to me. As if you're left in the wasteland of dead bodies and broken flags. As people are trying to pick up their dead, pick up their wounded. And then after a while, the battle commences again. I mean, I think that that is the coolest thing about the structure of the song. And I like the guidance in the titles that we're getting. You know, Mars, the Bringer of War. So we get war and we get war. I like how the drums throughout the song really have a battle march to them. You can really feel like you're heading to war, perhaps alongside your fellow soldiers as you're marching on the field and to the field of battle. So I think that's really cool how those are integrated. I mean, the horn section is just blowing it out. There's not a lot of room left for atmosphere and ambience, but as I mentioned, when those parts are left, they're extremely effective. This was just a really good piece all around. It's not a piece that I would personally listen to like a ton. It's just like intense. But when you need, if you're a classical person and you need that kind of heavy metal drive, but you want to stick in the genre, I think this is your best bet. And it even has a very soundtrack feel. And perhaps that is because I'm relating it to movies. But I feel like even on its own, it easily tells a picture. It easily paints a picture, rather. And you get so many different visualizations just from listening to the sounds created by the orchestra. I mean, I think that that was really well done. And then it has a lot of breakaway moments where you hear these big, big flurries like this. I love those fade-ins with the horns. That's really well done. Builds a lot of suspense. And then they break away into little sections like this, kind of carrying on a verse almost in the piece. Like the way that these violins just cut through that, and the horns return with a new melody. That's cool. And then once again, returning to what I mean about that emptiness and that desolation, these final like hits are like just that final blow. And listen to the emptiness. This is almost as if like you're mourning the dead. Like I mentioned, you know, after the battle. And then from here, it picks up right back up into where it left off and ends with a huge, huge bang. Gustav Holst, he says that these pieces were suggested by the astrological significance of the planets. If any guide to the music is required, the subtitle to each piece will be found sufficient, especially if it is used in a broad sense. And what he says here rings really true because the titles immediately, as I mentioned before, paint a picture and tell you kind of an idea of what he was envisioning and perhaps what you'll envision when listening to them. I would love to know what you guys thought of it. You could join me on Twitter. You can join me in the comments down below. I hope that you're having a fantastic day. You can support the channel on Patreon. You don't have to, but if you'd like to, it's there for you. And otherwise, I will talk to you tomorrow. Why did my voice just crack? I'm sorry. Bye.